let's look at the internet as it stands right now with some interesting stats. The internet really is a teenager about now. If you think of where it's come from, the first website went online in 1991, and now it's quite mature. Also, people are comfortable with buying online. So while there is more competition than there used to be, if you're a good marketer, you can still win. And by investing in yourselves, you guys are obviously on the track to becoming good marketers, and some of you are no doubt outstanding marketers, all in your own rights. So let's look at the internet by stats. Okay, so 3.26 billion internet users. So basically 40% of the world's population is online at the moment. That'll probably never be 100% because of outlying villages and that kind of stuff, but I imagine that statistic will just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. In places like Australia, I would say the majority of people are online because that's the way they consume their Netflix, which you need to do. All right, so 52.7% of global internet usage is mobile. So this is why we say you've really got to think about mobile-first strategy now. So you've got a traditional website, but you really need a mobile version of it. So make sure that everything is responsive, and you even need to think about that with your advertising and all that kind of stuff. So, and that is only just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, okay, so buyers by mobile share. So there's no real surprises here that Apple is the best converters as far as buying online. And it's probably because of, as a general rule, they're more of an expensive, high-end device, and so they appeal to a higher socio-economic community than some of the other devices that are out there. So, but if you know this, then you can sway this with your advertising. And out of the iPad is actually a disproportionate share as well. A lot of people do consume and buy stuff on the iPad because they can just sit down on the couch, they can do it whatever, it's just very, very easy, and it's not like using your phone where it's tiny, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's buyers by mobile share. So Google is still the big dog of search, with 2.9 billion Google searches every day. That's massive, isn't it? So a lot of people think, search is crowded, that kind of thing, but there's just so many searches that are happening every day. So you may as well put yourself forward and win more and more of that, what we call impression share. So it's just enormous. So in Australia, Google has around 90, maybe a bit more % of search, and obviously Bing is the second big one, and YouTube is another big search engine, but it's based on video type results. Okay, so 966 million websites, which is quite a few. Why we were saying that the internet very much is a teenager, right now, so all over the world. And of those, WordPress is the most dominant from the platforms. So you can see there, WordPress is basically 27.5% of all websites are WordPress. Other things to note, then Joomla and Drupal. So Magento is the biggest e-commerce platform, but mainly with bigger e-commerce stores. And then Shopify is another interesting one there as well. So e-commerce, which you'll hear about more later, we're very, very passionate about that field. We thoroughly love it, and it's so exciting. And the reason why is because only 9% of all retail sales are done online at the moment, which is incredible, isn't it? You'd think it'd be much, much higher. So you can imagine what's going to happen over the next 10 or 20 years is what that percentage. So that percentage, 9%, could easily move to an 18% and a 27% and that kind of thing. So this is like, getting into e-commerce is like buying coastal real estate before they put the highway in and the prices go through the roof. So effectively, e-commerce properties are like building properties, investment properties, and they can be bought and sold, that kind of thing, and they can produce awesome lifestyle and income from it too. Okay, so predicted e-commerce sales growth by year. So it looks like, hang on, it's declining, and it is declining, but the reason why it's declining is just because it's been growing so ridiculously. So over here you can see back 2013, 2014, e-commerce sales year on year was growing at like 17%, that kind of thing, whereas now it's slowing down to more your 13% type thing. So it's still enormous how fast it's growing, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And then top countries by e-commerce sales, this really relates back to what I was talking about before. So here the the light blue lines in this bar graph, that's China. So you can see China actually has double the amount of e-commerce sales as the US. And then, the US is second, and then UK is third. And then from there it goes Japan and Germany. So you might think, well, where's Australia in this? Australia is actually the very top line, but when you look at the graph, you can't actually see it. It's so thin. So it shows you, if you're just doing an Australian market, you're actually just going after a tiny, tiny slither of the overall thing. And while China might be a little bit more difficult, and if you don't speak the language and you don't have VC funding, there's a whole bunch of hurdles in front of you. But it doesn't mean that you can't go after the second biggest market, which is the US, and you can definitely do the UK. Their cultures are very, very similar to ours, and very, very achievable to get much, much bigger slice of things. Okay, this data is from ClickBank. So this is top countries by conversion rate. So this is based off their ClickBank's and basically an information marketing platform. So you can sell your ebooks, your courses, that kind of thing on there. And so what they're showing is Australia are historically the best buyers. They sort of spend the most sort of per capita type thing. The Kiwis very, very similar, and I know there's some Kiwis in the house down the back there. Switzerland, Norway, etc. And the US was only 10th in that regards. So if you think about back to when you were a kid, and I know we've got all different ages, but when I was a kid, media was very, very centralized. And so growing up, there was only sort of 4 or 5 main TV channels. Can anyone else remember that? So, yeah, and if you wanted to advertise, you advertised on TV, or you advertised in the local newspaper, or on the radio. And that's really, really changed. The way we've consumed media has changed. Like when we moved house, we bought a house a year ago. When we moved house, we didn't have our TV plugged in for 3 months, and no one noticed and no one cared because we just consumed. We consumed on all these different devices. We're like a modern family where once it gets to like 8 o'clock at night and everyone's just exhausted and no one wants to talk to each other anymore. There's like 5 of us and we all sit on a different couch with a different device. Can anyone else relate to that with their family, or we're alone? No, I'm not alone. Cool. So then the channels have even changed. So there's all these different channels that people can consume media from. So like your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube, and Google. And Google's not just Google search. It's Google Maps and a whole bunch of other things. So and what's interesting out of that is Facebook and Instagram, really, they just account for so much time. So saying they account for more time spent on mobile than the next 10 platforms combined. So you really, really want to be thinking about, am I putting my media out onto those platforms? Facebook is obviously the biggest social platform in the world with 1.55 billion active users. Who would say they go to Facebook every day? I know I do. Most. So over 2/3 of the room goes to Facebook every day. And what's amazing about this platform is you can laser target down to people based off their exact demographics, how old they are, where they live, where they're interested in, that kind of stuff. So, hey guys at the back, if you come in and walk around the back, there's heaps of seating over the side. So, because I'm going to be rabbiting on for the next hour, so you may as well take a seat. When I say rabbiting on, I meant providing quality value and industry updates. That's what I meant to say. You're welcome as well if you want, Phil. All right, cool. So biggest social media and messaging. So you can see here, Facebook's the biggest. Messaging apps are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, QQ, which is a Chinese one from Tencent, Qzone again, which is from Tencent. So Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter. So that really just shows you the social platforms that you should be thinking about. But in reality, out of that, so Facebook, Instagram, Facebook Messenger is becoming more and more important as well. So organic posts. So organic posts means when you post some content out to Facebook, or you post content out to Instagram or wherever you want, and then you've got fans and it goes out to your fans. But the reality is that organic post that you put out, say if it used to go to 10,000 people, now might go to a couple hundred people. Okay, so the organic reach is declining. So meaning that and what this is really about is shareholders and making you pay for it. So you can see there like a 42% drop in organic reach from January through to May last year. And the Social Media Examiner on a podcast series recently, they said, so you can imagine by the name of their title, Social Media Examiner, they specialize in social media. That's really what they're good at. And on this podcast they did with Digital Marketer, what they said was that only 4% of their traffic is coming from organic social posting, which was amazing, isn't it? Because a lot of people spend so much time on that. So on the second day, we've got Adam Franklin. He's just an absolute gun in this space, and he's going to show really how to make this very, very effective and how to really, really crank it and make it work.